Welcome to the Introverted Influencer Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Van Slyke. My soul's mission on this planet is to help fellow introverts grow their online influence in a state of feminine flow and ease. While battling the woes of depression, anxiety, and even mom guilt, I've somehow managed to build a six-figure blog without the use of social media and without sacrificing my mental health. If I can do it, you can fucking too. Hey y'all, welcome back to episode 7 of the Introverted Influencer Podcast. Today, I want to talk about a cause that is very near and dear to me. Well, I don't know that dear is the right word, but depression is a topic I have basically had lifelong experience with. In fact, I recall my first depressive episode from all the way back in elementary school, 2nd grade, I believe. So it's something I'm definitely no stranger to. And while I've grown to learn that there are so many different causes of depression, hormonal, nutritional, situational. Today, I'd like to focus more on the situational aspects of it. Over many years of dealing with depression and anxiety, I've learned that I have to address mental health from all different angles. And as a result, I take my supplements, I exercise, I meditate, I do my best to eat healthy and get out in nature on a regular basis. But sometimes that just isn't enough. And actually, I just got out of a low-grade depressive phase that lasted for about a year. And no, nothing really all that traumatic occurred in my life during that time. Well, living in this crazy world right now is probably trauma enough for all of us. But it was just one of those kinds of depressions you just can't put your finger on. Like, I realize my life is probably better than 90% of the population. So why does it feel like something is missing? That kind of depression. And it was kind of a vicious cycle because I felt guilty for being depressed. I mean, I get paid doing what I love. I have healthy, precious children and an amazing supportive husband. So why was I being such a little brat? That's how it felt to me. But when I finally really committed to doing some major work on this, like committing to a journaling practice and a series of hypnosis types of meditation, it came to me. I was low-grade depressed and unsatisfied because I'd been playing small and not following the callings I had on my heart and soul. Basically, I was being a chicken and not taking the risks I knew I needed to. And I wasn't following through with my divine downloads. Instead, I was just burying them deep down. But if you can make it to the other side of this depression, the positive part of the almost unbearable phases of life ruts are that you get so fed up with your own bullshit that you decide you can't take another day of not being the person you know you were put on this planet to be. I had this inner knowing that I was supposed to be doing more with my life, aka starting this podcast and pursuing some big financial goals that really freaked me the fuck out. But instead, I had been playing it safe for quite some time, doing the same thing I had always done and expecting different results. And isn't that Albert Einstein that says that's like the definition of insanity? So, my question for you today, have you been bullshitting yourself? making excuses for why you can't have the life you really want to have or do the thing you really want to do. Life is short and no one is guaranteed tomorrow. You gotta do the damn thing because no one else can do it for you. Once I finally had the guts to start this podcast and sell the home that I realized was not our forever home anymore, it's like I had been putting that off for, I guess, a year. It was probably through that depressive rut when I was having those callings, but I was being a chicken. But once I finally ripped the Band-Aid off and did it, it was actually like a high. And I was able to channel so much content. I've already got messages I want to give you guys for an entire year on this podcast. And all of that came to me within 24 hours of starting the podcast. I couldn't even sit down and focus because I was channeling so many ideas. It was beautiful. And don't kid yourself. Inaction can be super draining. Constantly being disappointed with yourself, oddly enough, takes a lot of mental energy. And it feels super yucky. But what's scary about it is that it's easy to get used to feeling that way after a while. But guess what? Life wasn't designed to be one big rut. And the only person that can pull you out of the rut is you. You're the guru. You're the superhero you've been waiting for. You got to decide that, and you got to step into that. Is my life a little more stressful right now? Now that I'm adapting to a new life, a new location, a bigger mortgage, more responsibilities of the podcast. Sure, I'm a little stressed out right now, but I feel alive again. And the stress of adapting to change is way better than always being disappointed with yourself. Trust me, I feel like I'm in this phase of life, and I remember how bad it felt to be disappointed and not be following my callings. And it feels so good, the contrast of what I've come through. So, thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope my message was inspiring or motivational at the very least. I do not make any money from this podcast right now. It actually costs me money to make. So the best way you can support my work right now is by sharing this podcast with a friend or giving it a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you use, or screenshotting this actual episode and then uploading it to your Instagram stories and tagging me in it. That's the best way you can support me right now. I'm sending you all my love.